right, welcome to This Week in Mediocrity, where we present you with all of the best and the worst of the media. I'm your host, Joel Foster, and I honestly thought Eric would be the Trump to ruin everything. Boy, was I surprised. As usual, the week was all about Trump, but this time the orange one wasn't the focus of attention. Rather, it was Donald Jr., who was in the spotlight after the New York Times reported on a little meeting he attended last summer. Trump Jr. met with Natalia Veselnitskaya, I'm going to say, a Russian lawyer allegedly connected with high-level Russian officials who has a name that made my spell check have a seizure. The meeting alone would have been sketchy enough, but as usual, it got weirder. Donnie Jr. was led to the meeting from a series of emails from British music promoter Rob Goldstone. Goldstone invited Donnie to the meeting and said that a top Russian lawyer had some dirt on Hillary Clinton, to which Donnie responded with, "I love it," and set a date. So who is this Rob Goldstone guy, and how does he have so much sway with the president and his son? Well, we know he makes videos like this.
Hello. Okay, I think I may have killed myself. I hate bells.
Yeah, so that's the guy that might be responsible for taking down the president. But after the cast of characters we've seen, from Trump's hippie doctor to his woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown, we can't really be surprised, right? If anything, Goldstone is too tame. I was expecting the one to take him down to be a human duck hybrid with a pompadour that speaks in puns. Something along that line. All right, Goldstone knew Trump through the Russian singer Emin Agalarov, who they knew through, I don't know, Russia stuff, I guess. In the first few days, Trump's people tried to distance his relationship with that crew, but numerous videos surfaced showing that their relationship goes back pretty far. Then we had this one.
Emin, I can't believe you're turning 35. You're getting older all the time. But you're a winner, you're a champ, you're great at real estate, and boy, can you entertain. Happy 35th birthday. Go many, many more.
Dear Mr. Trump, 2 years ago, you've sent me your best wishes for my birthday, and I thank you very much for it. And I want to take this opportunity to say congratulations. You did it. I never doubted you for 1 second. You've been on my desk. I've been watching the entire election. You're an absolute winner. You proved everybody wrong. It's incredible. Congratulations.
I actually think
Yeah, you're getting older all the time. That's what people tend to do, I think, but only Trump would throw in a cryptic phrase like, "You're great at real estate," into a birthday message. What does that mean? How does he know that? Is a Russian pop star trying to destroy our democracy or fix our heartbreak? Tune in next week. All right, after the Times reported on the meeting, Donnie Jr. initially refused that it happened. He said it didn't happen, simply. Then he quickly changed his story after more details came to light. Then he insisted that the meeting had to do with a controversial adoption program called the Magnitsky Act, and nothing else. Then the next day, the Times reported on the email chain that led to the meeting, and Donnie again changed his story. This time he claimed that he was lured to the meeting by the incriminating information, but said that the lawyer had nothing important to say. He said that Natalia's messages were, quote, vague, ambiguous, and didn't make sense, which he should be pretty used to since Donald Trump is his father. Before the Times had a chance to publish the email chain, Donnie released them himself on Twitter because he claimed he wanted to be transparent. Funny how people are so quick to be honest when they get caught. You would almost think that being caught caused them to suddenly be honest, but I'm sure it's a coincidence. Anyway, the story changed more times than a Britney Spears Vegas show as the week wore on. Donnie pulled out every excuse he could possibly muster, and conservative media offered even more options for why he ended up in a private meeting with a lawyer possibly connected with the Russian government. Oops. The media response took on a corruption version of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's 7 stages of grief. First, there was denial. And who better to usher in denial than Rush Limbaugh, who's in denial that he looks like Ben Franklin after he swallowed 17 Oxycontins and a pound of meatloaf. Let's take a look.
I actually think I'm watching people lose their minds. This is what it looks like. If you have had the occasion, sad occasion, in your life to witness a friend or family member lose their mind. This is what it is. This is a collective. This is a joint effort to lose a collective mind. And it is, I know, breathtaking and stunning to watch. No, none of it frightens me. None of this scares me, especially this.
I don't.
Nah, I'm not scared. No, the only thing that scares Rush is the dragons that appears in his opioid-induced hallucinations. Well, that and free medical care. If you're used to watching this kind of stuff, you'll notice this pattern of accusing the liberal media of losing their minds over whatever scandal happened that week. I'm not sure I would call reporting on a subject losing their minds. What else are they supposed to do when news happens? It's not like Jake Tapper's waving a gun around, cackling maniacally as he chows down on Rachel Maddow's throat. He hosts a news show, so he talks about news. Whatever you think of it, the story's interesting because it's a real-life soap opera. If you owned a news network, why wouldn't you talk about this? I mean, Rush Limbaugh's talking about it, right? All right, next on our 7 stages of grief comes pain and guilt, which pretty much describes the Trump administration. So let's move on to the next stage, bargaining. And who's a better bargainer than Alan Dershowitz, who's so good at bargaining that he convinced a jury that OJ didn't kill anyone, which is on par with me convincing you that Little Yachty is a lyrical genius. Here's Dershowitz explaining that Donnie Jr. meeting wasn't a crime. Let's see what he has to say.
I don't see any crime at this point.
I
think that even if there was coordination, even if the worst case scenario, as far as we know now, is the Russians get in touch with Trump Jr. and say, we have some dirt on Hillary Clinton, come, we'll give it to you. And he goes and gets the information. That's what the New York Times did in the Pentagon Papers. That's what the Washington Post did, and many other newspapers did with information from Snowden and Manning. You are allowed legally to use material that was obtained illegally as long as you had nothing to do with the illegal nature of obtaining the information.
If the hair is slick, you must acquit. Well, actually, the worst case scenario would be if Donald Trump became president, but okay. But contrary to what Dershowitz said, Donnie could have broken a law under the Logan Act, a 1799 law that's only been used once. So good job there, Donnie. The Logan Act bars private citizens from interfering with diplomatic relations between the US and foreign governments. Not good enough for you? Well, there's also an obscure law called the Conspiracy to Defraud the United States, a law actually made in response to an old prophecy predicting the existence of Donald Trump. Fun fact, this law makes it illegal to, quote, conspire to interfere with or obstruct one of its lawful government functions by deceit, craft, or trickery, or at least by means that are dishonest. I like how they threw the end in there, at least by means that are dishonest. You get what we mean. Donnie was at least trying to interfere with the government function of running an election. Deceit? Sure. Trickery? Oh yeah. Dishonest? Come on, he's a Trump. All right, the next step on the stages of grief is reflection, depression, and loneliness. Here's where the most reflective commentary comes in from the most depressed and lonely person I can think of. Let's take a look.
This lawyer has been photographed at multiple George Soros-sponsored, Linda Sarsour Islamic feminist marches in front of Trump Tower in Chicago and other cities. And those photos are now up on Infowars.com. It's that they identified themselves as going after the populist. And I may stumble and I may sometimes be a train wreck, but folks know I'm swinging for the fences. I'm going all in. I'm so committed, I just love it. The animating contest of liberty is incredible. I got so much energy, I'm as high as a kite on history, on will, on courage, on not being a slave, on commitment. So stop thinking me, folks. Wild horses couldn't drag me away from taking on these people.
Well, maybe not the reflective part, but the depressed and lonely, sure. Did you see how he almost blurted out meth after saying he was high on something? Although I don't know if you can get high on anything when you're already a talking packet of bath salts with a balding hairline. So what is he talking about, this lady being a plant? Well, it comes from the site Gateway Pundit, who reported that Natalia, the Russian lawyer, whose last name I'm not saying again, was seen with the US ambassador to Russia at a Foreign Affairs Committee meeting. In another Gateway Pundit article, they claim that she was at the Women's March back in January, and showed the picture of her taking a picture at the march, insinuating that she's an anti-Trump agent ordered by the Democrats. But let's take a step back for a minute. Remember when we said that the meeting with Donnie Jr. was about the adoption law, the Magnitsky Act? Yeah, well, the committee meeting where she was spotted had to do with that same adoption law, which would be a perfectly reasonable explanation as to why she was there. She even posted on Facebook that same week writing about how she showed a film about the adoption law at the museum in DC. But then again, I'm on the Soros payroll, so what do I know? As for the other picture, the one that she posted from the Women's March, yeah, it's true. She was at the march. And it also turns out to be true, get this, that you can attend a rally that you don't agree with. I know, crazy, right? Here's what she said in the caption below the picture of her picture of the Women's March, which Gateway Pundit seems to have forgot to have mentioned. She said, quote, "If this is the real freedom to wear the image of women's genitalia, pussy hats, take on the show of their own children and put such tags on them, and the childish look at the serious things in front of the eyes, but requiring any tension of the gray stuff, I'm against it." I know it's a little broken there, but we get the point of what she's saying. Next comes the upward turn step to grieving, where the pundits take a huge mistake, like, say, meeting with a Russian lawyer because a British hat aficionado thought it was a good idea, and turning it into a selfless deed. See, Donnie Jr. wasn't meeting with a lawyer to dig up dirt. He was doing his patriotic duty. Let's find out.
I mean, he's released the emails. They tricked him into the meeting. He knew it was bull and got out. He said, I'm not talking about sanctions. I want to know about Russian spies, which is what any citizen should do.
It's should be the next, there's another one.
It is
okay. My son met to see why she's meeting with the Russians. To say,
there you go.
Can we give an award to Donald Jr.?
He deserves one.
But I'm not just turning that around. Really, he's trying to expose spies.
He's done nothing wrong, immoral, or illegal here. Nothing. But you wouldn't know that.
Except saying he would have done things differently.
As an example.
That's right. He was sniffing out those Rusky spies, and then not telling anyone about it until he was caught. Makes you think of James Bond, right? Oh, sorry, I mean bail bonds. Sorry. All right, stage 6 in the grieving process is reconstruction, or working through the problem, which means deflecting the whole thing onto Hillary Clinton, who's basically become the Trump family voodoo doll. So how are they going to use the Hillary card this time? Bet it's something good.
As an example, if Hillary had won, our military would be decimated. Our energy would be much more expensive. That's what Putin doesn't like about me. And that's why I say, why would he want me? Because from day one, I wanted a strong military. He doesn't want to see that. And from day one, I want fracking and everything else to get energy prices low and to create tremendous energy. We're going to be self-supporting. We just about are now. We're going to be exporting energy. He doesn't want that. He would like Hillary, where she wants to have windmills. Okay? He would much rather have that, because energy prices will go up, and Russia, as you know, relies very much on energy. So there are many things that I do that are the exact opposite of what he would want. So when I keep hearing about that he would have rather had Trump, I think probably not, because when I want a strong military, you know, she wouldn't have spent the money on the military.
Okay. Wait, why is that? Because it's well known that both Obama and Hillary had a very uncomfortable and some would say adversarial relationship with Putin. Just look at this picture. By someone you didn't want to see. Hi, yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, definitely, yeah. Or this one, where Hillary describes the plot of Stranger Things while Putin daydreams of skinning her and hanging her in a Siberian meat locker. What I'm trying to say is they don't like each other. And it's crazy to think that he would rather have Hillary as president. And he says it, Trump says this because she doesn't want to spend on the military. But he also put on the campaign trail about being a war hawk, because she is one, just like pretty much every US politician. I mean, if you want war, we have plenty of leaders to choose from. It's like finding someone who likes the Beatles. And here's former Breitbart reporter Lee Stranahan reporting from his attic, where he's gonna break it all down for us. And by it, I mean his breakfast. Let's take a look.
The Trump administration, and even Don Jr. Releasing this stuff, he did what I would suggest as a crisis management professional, which is get the information out there, get out ahead of the story. Does that make sense? Makes sense. problem is, this ain't normal crisis management. Releasing the emails was a good move. And to me, it's a good move. But then you've got to go on offense and talk about stuff like Ukrainian election interference.
Finish eating before you broadcast, Lee. I know you just gathered those scraps out of an Arby's dumpster, but the bacon will still be there when you're done. All right, then Sarah Huckabee Sanders got into the mix, throwing Hillary even further under the bus, which is where Sean Spicer is these days. Let's listen to her.
Look, I think if you want to talk about having relationships with Russia, I'd look no further than the Clintons. Bill Clinton was paid $500,000 to give a speech to a Russian bank, personally thanked by President Putin. Hillary Clinton allowed 1/5 of America's uranium reserve to be sold to a Russian firm whose investors were Clinton Foundation donors. The Clinton campaign chairman's brother lobbied against sanctions on Russia's largest bank and failed to report it. I think if we're looking at Russia relations with anybody, it would be directly with the Clintons.
My question was specifically about...
Let's not limit ourselves to the establishment, right? What are the real people saying about the scandals involving our president? Or the one who ran against the president and lost and has no impact on the country at the moment? Yeah, what about that?
I'm sure that the United States has been involved in some shenanigans in elections in other countries. Israel comes to mind in Barack Obama's effort to unseat Netanyahu. Now, as people start digging into these allegations of the Russia collusion, it's going to lead down other paths, and the Democrats will be exposed in their dirty dealings as well.
Do you realize?
I know you can't see it, but he was surrounded by jugs of urine. You know what? That would be great if corruption was exposed. No one's against that at all. If it turns out Hillary did something illegal, I'd like to know about it for sure. But it's probably more important to focus on the people who are actually running the country at the moment. Plus, Hillary's got some shirts to sell. She's got to make a buck too, you know. You think those campaigns pay for themselves? It's weird to just dismiss the thing because Hillary might have done something too. Like, I can't murder someone if I kill someone next to a guy that just murdered somebody. That would be a crazy loophole, but I'm pretty sure that's not allowed. After the Hillary card, there isn't many places to go. But Kellyanne Conway is one who's used to going to places where no one wants to go. She offered us the flashcard.
Do you realize that, basically what come out of this 20-meeting brief, meaningless meeting, same amount of information that comes out of some of these panels where 6 people are nodding their head at each other and discussing the same thing, which is to say 0 usable information. So I just want to review, in case you run out of time. This is how I see it so far. This is to help all the people at home. What's the conclusion? Collusion? No, we don't have that yet. I see illusion and delusion. So just so we're clear, everyone, 4 words. Conclusion, collusion, no. Illusion, delusion, yes. I just thought we'd have some fun with words. Sesame's Grover word of the day, perhaps, Sean.
Well, thanks for clearing that up, Kellyanne. It gives me an idea. This describes Kellyanne Conway. Conclusion? Confusion, yes. Or we could go contusion to explain maybe the way she acts. And then we've got insane, deranged. Just wanted to have some fun with words, like Grover. Now this brings us to the final stage, acceptance. Trump took a few days to defend his son because he's pretty hard to defend. I'll side with him on that one. Then, finally, there was acceptance. Let's hear it.
As far as my son is concerned, my son is a wonderful young man. He took a meeting with a Russian lawyer, not a government lawyer, but a Russian lawyer. It was a short meeting. It was a meeting that went very, very quickly, very fast. 2 other people in the room, I guess one of them left almost immediately, and the other one was not really focused on the meeting. I do think this, I think from a practical standpoint, most people would have taken that meeting. It's called opposition research, or even research into your opponent. I've had many people, I have only been in politics for 2 years, but I've had many people call up, oh gee, we have information on this factor or this person or, frankly, Hillary.
So it's okay because most people would do the same thing. You know what else a lot of people did? Voted for Donald Trump. But notice that he says he himself got the same types of calls about people having information about their opponents. Did he also take those meetings? I bet he would say no, which would contradict his whole point. Or maybe he did, and we'll be talking about that next week. I can't wait. Wait, is he supposed to be running the country while this is all happening, or is there like a fill-in? I'm not really sure. Sure, most people would do that. Sounds good. Sounds like a good excuse, but we don't elect leaders to be average people. We know we're terrible, that we don't know what's good for us, that we watch Here Comes Honey Boo Boo instead of reading a good book, and watch terrible infotainment instead of reading publicly available government reports. But we should expect more from our leaders. Maybe this won't lead to anything, and it was just a stupid move by a really stupid person. But it does look bad. Is it illegal? I don't know. But that's kind of beside the point right now. We shouldn't ignore something just because it's legal. Look at the pension systems or corporate pay. Are these things legal? Sure. Are they morally wrong? Definitely. Our legal system isn't always going to reflect what's wrong or right about society. Sometimes it even runs counter to that. So to dismiss something just because it's not illegal is kind of like eating a burger with a bun made of human hair. Sure, it's not technically carbohydrates, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea and that it's a good diet. We should hold our leaders to higher standards because that's the only way we're going to have a better society. So I'll end this by asking this. Are we really surprised that this guy, who looks like Gordon Gekko mixed with Joe Bluth, is engaged in sketchy meetings with Russians? This whole Trump thing has been a bloated 80s action movie come to life, so of course the rich guy with slick back hair is dealing with the Russians. What else did we expect? And I'll leave you with a quote from Downey Jr.'s idol.
Give me guys that are poor, smart, and hungry, and no feelings. You win a few, you lose a few, but you keep on fighting. And if you need a friend, get a dog. It's trench warfare out there, pal. Hey, Georgie, can you stop sending me information and you start getting me some?
All right, that's all the time we got for today. Have a great weekend and be careful of that trench warfare. Stay cool, Tucson.